Morning. We've done this before, so quickie, where's Wally? Couple of questions, just to remind us where we've been. Okay, write me down a quantitative statement about this picture. And a little bit different, write me a question that would produce qualitative data. And you cannot have the obvious. Bit of a toughie now, so we're moving into those ones we've looked at over the last couple of lessons. How could you check the reliability of someone's answer to the question you've just written? And don't panic if you can't remember what it means. I'm sure there's somebody who's going to be able to do it. Last one. So someone says that the candy floss store was selling white and pink candy floss. How could you check the validity of that statement? Quantitative statement then. Give us one. Give us a one. Go for it, Alex.
One merry-go-round.
Perfect. One merry-go-round. How do I know that's a quantitative statement, Abby?
It's in numbers. Like the answer would be in numbers.
Perfect. It's got a number in there. Well done. Chris, give us another.
There are 3 toilets.
Pushing it a bit further then, give me a qualitative, a question that's going to produce qualitative data. Rhiann?
Where are the toilets?
Sorry?
Where are the toilets?
Perfect. Why would that produce qualitative data for us? Adam, why would it produce qualitative data?
Because it's a description.
Perfect. And descriptions are going to produce what?
Words.
They're going to produce words. And we know that words are qualitative data. How did you feel when? They're producing descriptive words of their attitudes, their emotions, any of those sorts of things. I always think when it comes down to a qualitative question, and we might well have to write one in the exam, starting the question with describe helps. And we got exactly the right words there. Test, retest, reliability. In the exam, don't panic if you can't remember that, but it's going to look brilliant if you can. What about the next one then? The validity. How could we check the validity of that statement? Anybody got any idea? Chris, you kind of got that look.
No.
Would you produce a colour chart? I don't know.
What would a colour chart do? That's not a bad idea.
Test the accuracy of the colour. No.
Hadn't thought about that. So you're finding something else that measures colour and you put it by the side of it to see if they were right.
Could you observe? Could you get someone to observe what they're selling, what colour they're selling?
So somebody else to have a look at it. Would it work if we asked other people? So you could, in that sense, ask a load of other people what he was selling. What was he selling, pink or white? Most of the time we're looking in psychology to test validity by looking to see whether other people say the same. Most of the time we do. And pink. Last lesson. We did that essay, which took that concept of validity properly into an 18 marker. And what I'd like to do this lesson is first of all remind ourselves of what we did in that essay, how we structured it, how we wrote it. And then I want to take the same ideas, remember that concept of a two-sided discussion. For the second part of this lesson, I want to take that concept and apply it to something new. Dig out that essay from last lesson and you're going to need an additional bit of paper. Right, we've done this before, but when we've done it before, we've done it by drawing a line down through our paper so that we've got 2 sides to it. But this time we're going to do it on a blank piece of paper because it's going to be easier. I want you to first of all just reread your essay and every sentence, couple of sentences, transfer onto your blank piece of paper a key word from that sentence, couple of sentences. So a key word that reflects it. And they're your key words. You choose them, whatever you want. Okay, go. Right, we've done this before. You know what we're going to do. Cover up your essay in pairs. You're going to retell that essay using just those key words. Zip through really fast through the studies themselves, but I want the on the one hand, on the other hand stuff, okay? Go.
and so they didn't know if it was lethal or not. And in another study, 2 out of 18
Because they changed
they changed the drug to a real drug that they knew, so they knew it would be lethal. And it was two people out of 18 obeyed, but it was criticised again for population validity because it was nurses instead of
So you couldn't
instead of real life.
to everyone.
You can't be generalised to other people because they shook. And
Pause where we are now, because I'm walking round and I can hear you using the very words I want you to use when you're writing an AO2 essay. Rather than just listing this great long line of criticisms of it, you're saying, on the one hand, on the other hand. I heard people using words like however, words that are suggesting a discussion, a proper discussion, not a rant. I want to try and apply that now to thinking about something slightly different. So if we thought about it in terms of our ethics studies, so for example, we know with Milgram's research that it's not very ethical. We pulled that out last lesson, people were saying about the ethics of it. Really quickly, just write me down 3 things that are wrong ethically with Milgram's study. Right, let's see between us we can get those up to 5. So, Sophie, give us one.
Their right to leave was taken away.
Well done. How?
Because the experimenter kept saying things like it's essential to the experiment that you carry on.
Perfect. Well done. Chris, the other Chris, give us something.
People thinking they killed someone.
Perfect. So, what ethical issue does that? Well, what would be the proper word we use for it?
The capacity to kill.
Not quite.
psychological harm.
Well done. Chris is absolutely right. Okay, let's go back to Louisa's then. So you were saying about informed consent being a problem. Well done.
Because they were told it was a completely different experiment.
Perfect. And Adam, you said
Deception.
because
They weren't told the true nature of the study.
they weren't. What were they told it was? Can anybody remember?
Punishment and learning.
It was about punishment and learning. Well, it wasn't. It was about obedience. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything else we could push? What about the fact that he videoed them? Is that a problem to you? What does that kind of violate? Sorry, Rhiannon?
Confidentiality.
Kind of. Well, aren't we supposed to protect our participants' confidentiality? Aren't we supposed to keep it anonymous and not identify them and stuff? We video them and it's on YouTube. If we took it in terms of an exam question, so maybe they'd asked us to discuss ethical issues in obedience research, and one ethical issue in Milgram's study of obedience was, and I'm going to take protection from harm, and first place we can get some more marks is to develop that point. So, like Chris said, he made them think. They'd actually killed someone. Anything else he did that failed to protect them from harm? Louise?
Put them under a lot of stress.
How much stress? What actually happened to them, Tom?
They were put under extreme stress.
Could you tell me how? You're absolutely right.
They started shaking and trembling.
Perfect. Shaking, trembling. What else?
Didn't 2 of them have to go to hospital?
They did, because they were so severely stressed by the experience. Going to really push you now. Could you think of an on the other hand for that though? A however, maybe. Rhiannon?
That he did check beforehand with 21 student psychologists, I think it was, to check whether the experiment should go on. And it turned out that they were all wrong in it because they thought it was something like less than 1% would.
Absolutely. But he'd done some basic checks, hadn't he? Good.
Did he debrief them as well?
He debriefed them. Adam?
Could you say he had no ethical guidelines? So no one was telling him like he couldn't do it.
Without guidelines, he'd done this. It's not bad, is it? Chris?
I don't know if it's a good point or not, but he actually got some quite good results from it.
Really great findings. Now, therein lies a brilliant piece to write in terms of an AO2 answer. So instead of just saying, which is where your weak students will be, and none of you here are weak students, your weak students will say, one ethical issue is he failed to protect them from harm. Bang, full stop, leave it at that. Then they'll move on to something else that he did. You just picked out on just one point there, can build it, and you can do some howevers. Other words, aside from however.
On the other hand.
Others. Consequently, I think might belong there. I'm not sure that that's another alternative.
Whereas.
Whereas? Conversely, love it. Always sounds really good. Don't get to use it very often. Why not throw it into an essay? Conversely, why don't you just try this for me for Zimbardo then, okay? Zimbardo's study raises several ethical issues. Firstly, and we're going to go with the same one, he failed to protect his participants from harm. I want you now to develop that point. I want you to tell me how, and then I'm going to really push it. I want you to say however, or on the other hand, or conversely, or whatever word it is that you want to use. And I want you to see between you if you can come up with some way of defending him. Good. How are you doing there, Steve? Because you started this one late, didn't you? But have you got some sense of it? Good. However, is there anything that he did that kind of said he was kind of aware of it and did something? Can you help, Sophie? Because Steve was a bit late with this one. Can you remember, what did he actually do on the however side that said, actually, that's not quite so bad?
Could you say about when he stopped it?
Perfect. Isn't that exactly what, he's aware of it. How long was it supposed to go on?
Was it 2 weeks?
It was, well done. And he stops it early because he's aware of it happening. Rhiannon, read yours out. Let's put you under stress, then we'll stop the study after 6 days instead of 2.
I said that they failed to protect participants from harm as they were under great stress because the guards had become too engrossed in their roles, so that's why the experiment had to be stopped.
Good.
And then I said, however, Nietzsche also managed to portray how a simple environment can change someone's behaviour dramatically.
Well done. So you could develop that point even further, couldn't you, by saying that not only did something really important come out of it, but it also led to changes in the way in which prisons were run. Let's have a look at yours, Abby's.
I said Zimbardo's study raises several ethical issues. Firstly, he failed to protect his participants from harm. Participants were under extreme stress. The guards bullied and tortured.
And what you've then got is a really sophisticated discussion, a criticism to an on the other hand, to a on the other hand. And when you get a discussion going like that, you have got an awful lot of marks. Have a go just for the last couple of minutes now. Just see if you can take that discussion one stage further. So keep going where you are. See if you could come back at it and re-criticise him. Okay, last one before we go. Milgram failed to give his participants fully informed consent. Okay, we're practising this until we got it down to a fine art. Develop that point for me. How could we develop that point?
So do you have to say like how?
Well done. Excellent. See, you're natural now. So we're going where we go next. However, conversely, if you haven't used it yet, because it's such a nice word, we don't get to use it often enough. On the other hand, anything like that. So can you give me an on the other hand? What would we go for if we were going to go for an on the other hand? Go on then, Adam.
If he told them the true nature of the study, it would have affected the results.
In what
Because
way? Take that further. What
They would
way?
have behaved differently if they knew what
Perfect.
was being
What?
tested.
Let me get that word in there. Demand characteristics. We're a bit scared now, so I think we're going to have to write that for homework. If you think about it, that's what you've just done in not that much time. If you put that at the top of the notes that you've written today, you've written an 18-mark essay in really and truly, and I've been watching the time, not much more than the time that you would have in an exam to do it. And you said to me last lesson or the lesson before, I can't do this. And I have given you virtually no help whatsoever. And by the end of the lesson, we have Adam saying, do I put however now? Think about it in that terms. Discuss, outline some of the ethical issues. Really well done, folks. Next lesson, we're probably just going to finish off a few tiny weeny bits about ethics as far as the other side of the paper is concerned, my bit of the paper, the research methods bit, and we are done. We've finished this method, this module. We celebrate. Well done, people. Thank you.
This